Hello, my name is Brittany Nelson, and welcome to my TED Talk. Adopting growth mindsets and grit is not sustainable for teacher retention. Have a conversation with any teacher in a public school in 2022. They will probably tell you that they have experienced what is widely known as teacher burnout. Burnout is described by Psychology Today as a state of chronic stress that leads to physical and emotional exhaustion, cynicism, detachment, and feelings of ineffectiveness and lack of accomplishment. While the role of the teacher is often deemed as admirable work in society, teachers are significantly overworked, undervalued, undersupported, and underpaid in many schools across the United States. I cannot count the amount of times that I have sat in a professional development session about adopting a growth mindset. Over the last few years, thousands of schools around the world have jumped on board with the growth mindset trend. It seemed to become the low-hanging fruit for schools to easily grab. Going from school to school, posters about effort that focus on trying harder and books about the mindset for teachers and students are all around. Carol Dweck, Stanford University's growth mindset guru and researcher, said, "Growth mindset has become a leader in this ever-growing movement in education." She argues that growth mindset is the belief that you can develop your talents and abilities through hard work, good strategies, and help from others. It stands in opposition to a fixed mindset, which is the belief that talents and abilities are unalterable traits, ones that can never be improved. So let's take a step back to the 19th century when two scientists, Francis Galton and Alfred Binet, on a pursuit to classify and understand human cognitive ability, created the first IQ test, laying the foundations for a method of ranking the intelligence of job applicants, army recruits, or school children that continues today. Adversely, the notion that inherent ability is destiny was severely challenged by progressive thinkers in the 20th century. For example, the educator and philosopher Dewey argued that every child's intelligence could be developed given the right environment. The self, according to Dewey, is not something readily made, but rather in continuous formation through choice of action. The theory of adopting growth mindsets is new and widely and accepted. It is difficult to think of a school today that is not enthralled to the idea that beliefs about one's ability affect subsequent performance, and that it's crucial to teach students that failure is merely a stepping stone to success. Though Dweck's claims are supported by a lot of evidence, the implementation of this ideology is not as simple as it appears. In May 2016, the Education Week's Research Center conducted a study on a national sample of more than 600 K-12 teachers about their views and beliefs related to growth mindset. In this research, they found that 98% of teachers feel that growth mindset approaches should be adopted in schools, but only 50% said that they knew of strategies to effectively change a pupil's mindset. So, Dweck's research stems from her desire to make a difference for all youth, especially disadvantaged youth. While in theory, the growth mindset is necessary, in practice, it often disregards systemic barriers that many students of color face. One of these barriers is socioeconomic status. According to the American Psychological Association, socioeconomic status affects overall human functioning, including our physical and mental health. Socioeconomic status and its correlates, such as lower educational achievement, poverty, and poor health, ultimately affect our society. So Dweck's theory of developing your talents and abilities through hard work, good strategies, and help from others, and Dewey's belief that every child's intelligence could be developed given the right environment, does not speak to the harsh environments many students of color live in or the lack of help from others they receive. Middle school language arts teacher Steven Singer's article, 6 Problems with the Growth Mindset in Education, argues that the growth mindset theory is correct and valuable, but when we try to make that try to take that insight and weave it into current education policies, it becomes a shadow of itself. Like Singer, I'm a current middle school language arts teacher, and I find that the growth mindset pushes teachers and students, but it can be problematic when it negates the issues being presented and it is used to silence concerns that we have. This ideology is also expected of teachers in their own pedagogy and their ability to succeed as an effective educator. When expressing my frustrations of the field, I've been told by many school leaders and managers to have a growth mindset as if it is a solution to the incessant demands of the work of an educator. Moreover, the push for rigor has dominated the field and ultimately become a buzzword for academic expectations and demands for exemplary performances on standardized tests. Singer asserts that instead of focusing on the individuality of real human students, we're zeroing in on the relics of a fixed mindset, which is test scores, and relegating the growth mindset to happy talk and platitudes. Truthfully, we simply haven't been able to translate the research on the benefits of a growth mindset into any sort of effective, consistent practice that makes an appreciable difference in student academic attainment. Effort may be a necessary component of academic success, but it is not in itself sufficient. There are other factors that need to be present too, such as the presence of proper resources and support. Such support, like access to healthy diet in a well-resourced school, extracurricular activities, school nurses, tutors, mentors, psychologists, and a host of other services that are ultimately out of a student's control. Burnout is often a more temporary condition in which an educator has exhausted the personal and professional resources necessary to the job, but demoralization occurs when an educator believes they are unable to perform the work in ways that uphold the high standards of the profession. We are highly encouraged to use every minute of our lessons with rigorous standard-aligned instruction, with little room for joy factor and actual student engagement. So this segues to a recent survey at my school where only 36% of the 8th grade class said that they were excited to go to class. Putting everything on growth is extremely cruel to students, much like the phenomenon of grit. We are currently in a school climate obsessed with performance in the form of constant summits of testing, analyzing, and ranking of students, creating a certain cognitive dissonance when we politicize the benefits of a growth mindset in assemblies, but then hand out fixed target grades and lessons based on performance. Thus, teachers like myself are ultimately tired of contradiction. At my school alone, there have been more than 20 teachers and administrators who have left the school in the middle of the year and plan to leave before the year is up. Many are not returning next year. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that more than 270,000 teachers have left the profession each year since 2016 and projects this rate of departure to continue through 2026. For many educators, the advice to combat the concerns of burnout has been to build balance into our lives by creating and setting clear work boundaries. This greater fosters a feeling of demoralization and an appreciation of educators who do not have the option to simply close our laptops at the end of the workday. We are tired due to heavy demands and little support and resources to achieve necessary goals for students' academic growth, but risk of losing our jobs. Solving teacher burnout cannot be reduced to calls for teacher resilience or encouraging self-care. That suggests that we are not having enough grit to persevere when in reality, nothing could be further from the truth. Stripping away our autonomy as well as imposing standardization and high-stakes exams can eat away at the rewards and gratifications we have with the work that we fell in love with. While many of us come into this field with hopes of leading and advancing the academic desire and ability of our students, at the core of this work, we are daily reminded that student engagement is secondary to student achievement on standardized tests. We have been reduced to altering our lesson to fit what is considered as rigorous instruction, but often disregards student choice and student interest. To combat this concern and increase retention of teachers in schools nationwide, Education leaders must examine such trends and find ways to fortify the rewards of teaching if they hope to prevent teacher burnout. The current system is simply not working. According to the American Psychological Association, a teacher's years of experience and quality of training are correlated with children's academic achievement. Children in low-income schools are less likely to have well-qualified teachers. If teachers continue to feel demoralized and leave the classroom at these alarming rates, the cycle of low academic achievement for children in low-income communities will regrettably persist. Instead of looking at teacher burnout as an individual problem, leaders in education must shift their focus to assess the problem as a systemic, institution, and policy-based issue. If we want to make sure that we have a free and affordable and purposeful education for all students, we must focus on this issue and recognize that teachers are simply unhappy, and telling them that grit is going to solve their issue is not sustainable. Thank you.